There's more than
met.
us on this committee, right?
What's that, Robert?
Who else is on this committee?
Tina, but she said she was gonna come, but I don't know if she'll be here on time, but she can join us at any point and we can recap her, but she's definitely on the committee as well to help. And she has true USA election experience. So that's wonderful as well. So why don't you guys, I'm just here to put things together, run it, but I really need your guys' expertise to make some decisions today so we can get this ball rolling. Paul and Brad, Robert, I don't know if you've done it a year as well. I think we've all done it,
What's that,
at some
election
point.
committee?
The election committee.
I was on it last year, but we never really had a count or do anything.
Okay, perfect.
So I haven't really been through the process yet, but
awesome.
Well, the process is one thing. Most of it is the preliminary stuff that we're meeting here tonight to talk about. And since you've done it recently, we may refer to you or defer to you to figure out, what are we missing? What's next? Do we have like a sort of a template that we're all on the same page? It's like, here's what we need to do. It's just like a list of,
Yes,
right?
we do. And I'm going to construct one after this meeting for us so we stay on target.
Okay.
I did pull together just from speaking to Angela and then also pulling my past stuff of working with Scott and David and Fred. I pulled all those emails back to kind of see from all the years because we're kind of somewhat going to be normal this year, but not really. So
Right.
that's a couple things that we get to decide as this committee is what do we want to do? I
Right.
talked to Christine already at the library. That was most important to make sure that the library was available to us. It is. We're good to go there. We can use the parking lot or we can use the lobby. Again, that comes down to what we want to do. So let's start off with the date. The date that I see now on the calendar is March 16th, 2023. So we've confirmed that as being the official election date. Now we need to come up with the time. I did speak to Angela and she stated they pulled a time later in the day last year from 3 to 6 to 4 to 7, only because it's been really difficult for people to get off work or do their duties to get down there and vote. I did experience that in previous years too. We got bombarded at the last minute, which kind of screwed us with counting because I know the last time I did it, we started getting really good at it, Brad. And remember, I think it was a couple of the guys would already go off to the room to count. This was when it was an in-person. And that was based on Tony Kempton. God rest his soul. I'm so sad about that. It's so weird. It's so weird.
I think it was, who was that? Somebody was back in that room. I think it was Scott and.
Yes.
And Jerry? Scott and Jerry?
Jerry Lola. Yes, you're right. Because Jerry also helped us quite a bit. So those two guys per Tony's, and I love the idea. They would come and get the ballots and go into that room and count.
Right.
So we weren't there all night and it helped quite a bit. And I like to see that kind of, I don't know how we're going to do that this year, if we do the drive by or.
Well, I mean, we
got to discuss it.
It's like, okay, so do we talk about the preliminary stuff or we talk about the actual physically how we're going to be handling the election?
I say we do a couple things first. We've got the date down.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Candidates forum?
Candidates forum. That's another thing I have here
That's
on my
another
list.
date is why I say.
Yeah. And that is
Last
normally
year's
what?
candidates forum was on, last year it was March 17th for the election. in
Right.
22, which didn't happen. The candidates forum.
Was it like 2 weeks?
On March
before?
10th, only 7 days earlier.
Oh,
And it's normally a week before.
That was 1 week, yeah.
So
The point we might want to talk about is, I assume that it'll be a Zoom board meeting. So are we going to have an in-person vote at the same time as a Zoom board meeting? I mean, I guess that's okay, but.
well, that's what we did before. The people that are involved in the meeting or in the election are not gonna be attending the meeting.
Okay,
That's how it typically works. And I imagine so, I mean, Corla and everybody else can be putting on, hold on a second, but Fred might be helping us. So does it go to the second vice chair to run the meeting then?
We'll have to, well, yeah, definitely, because I won't be there. So,
Right,
but
you
then
won't be-
again, that's Angela and she's running.
Oh,
yeah,
So Fred may not be able to help
yeah,
us
Fred
then.
we might not be able to count on him.
Mm-mm.
It seems to me that the drive-by would work. We could have the ballot box outside. We could set up a card table outside. We could have the sign there. People drive up, they could stick their, only thing is that how many line of cars, you don't want to be so many people, or it could be a walk-up outside. They could park in the lot and walk up and stand in line, and we could verify with a couple of card tables that way. Would that work?
Did any of you help us when we had the drive-by?
yeah.
I know I was there for that one too. I helped, and
I didn't do it.
it was kind of chaotic because
Sorry.
people were parking and walking, and we just lost kind of control of the collection of ballots, because I guess that was also a time during COVID where they were self-validating themselves,
Right.
I guess, providing proof with their ballots.
Right, and then you get a
And it was in
spouse
an-
that would bring their husband's or wife's ballot, but they weren't
Remember
present.
that? It was a nightmare, and they were getting upset because they were getting turned away, but their ballots were together in one envelope.
Right, we ended up
So-
counting all of those people, those doubles, and it really probably didn't make any difference. But we
Right.
were over at St. Agnes counting them, I think, after
So
that.
let's just, if we
Even
do
after
want to
like
do the
3 days.
drive-by, we really have to really hone down on the rules in that process, right?
Well, I
Brad?
mean, I was just throwing that out there.
I like the drive-by. It's easy.
It seems, do we have one person? Do you just validate do you allow the ballot to be filled out prior and validate and then take their ballot?
And see, that's another thing that's going to be tricky because
Or do they have to do it? You get a ballot after you're validated. Isn't that how we did it last time? When you and I were sitting out front?
yeah,
Mark?
yeah. We got it. We had to validate them. Then they got a ballot and they had to fill it out on the spot.
Right.
That's how the original back in
Maybe the library will allow us to take one of the long tables
yeah.
and put it outside. We could have card tables where we might sit and or have ballots and somebody guarding the ballot box, sitting with it. Though I guess it's gonna have to.
It'd almost be like the same way of,
Take the ballots and take the ballot box in, take the ballots out, somebody hold those and bring the ballot box back out. I don't know how does it,
how do you guys feel, Paul and
Right.
Robert?
Part of the issue was that the last time we did this out by the, in the parking lot, we also were taking mail ballots. And because of that, there might be more people who would drive by to drop off this year, because a lot of them send in mail ballots. So I'm not sure how that'll work.
we're not gonna be doing mail ballots, so right?
No.
Okay, so we'll just have to be ready for maybe more people than we had 2 years ago. Plus,
I'm
COVID is
thinking
gone.
less.
Now, who knows if this is going to be a contentious election? I think only one person is termed out. I don't know if the rest are rerunning or not.
Right. Well,
So
and also, years past, that 1 year, 2 years ago, is that the
Mhm.
600 turnout?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know that we're ever gonna get that kind of turnout again.
I don't think so
Because
either.
the mail-in made it so much easier than actually physically showing up. And also, it used to be a 4-hour window, and now people have seemed to condensed it down to 2 hours. It used to be 4 to 8. And now I think it's what did everybody go to? Like 5 to 7 or 6 to 8? I
Well,
don't,
Angela said yes, last year they proposed 4 to 7. The year before, from my notes, I see it being, one year was 3 to 6. And then you're right, the way back then was until 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that, I felt like no one came in that last hour.
right, right. It was,
We were kind of just sitting around waiting for results.
right.
2
But
years
we
ago,
weren't, we didn't count at that point until everybody had their ballots in. Now we,
Right.
during the course of it, which is permitted, though, I don't know that we have enough, do we have enough people to be able to have, I don't know, it seems like we need,
I think we may have to recruit a couple more volunteers to count and all that.
right. Or because there's gonna be people, how many people do we need then?
Well, we've always
Yeah.
had around this amount. We've always had about 5. Because I remember out in the lobby was me, you, and Jerry normally. Then Jerry, as it slowed down, would get stolen into the room to count, help count with either Tony or whomever. And then Fred watched. There was always one person at the ballot box and supervising the area,
Right, so it
and
seems
that was normally Fred or
two people
whomever.
taken, you and I were sitting next to each other. We were
Yes.
just able to sign in and checking ID. There was, do we do this, we do the sign in thing too, right?
I almost think that might be the easiest way. People actually have to just come in. It was super easy because they showed us our IDs, and we were like, because we know the areas, and we're just like boom. And I think that was the most successful election, was just having people do it there and turning it in. And then it was great because they were just counted in the other room.
Right, but
It was-
didn't we have a list that people actually, after they got, prior to getting a ballot, didn't they write their name down and their address?
I forget. Did they? I think they did. As that was like the final verification. Brad, you're right. I think they did.
I think we,
About 2
that
years
way
ago?
we knew.
No, this was like 4 or 5 years ago.
I think
or
you'd walk
more.
up and you would give them your driver's license. Usually people would give it to you.
It was super easy.
You'd put
Yeah,
your
or a
name in, you
bill.
sign, and you were verified that you were in the area. They had a list of streets that were good, and they got a ballot if they were qualified, and they went and voted.
I think
Yeah.
we were just
Their name
trying
was on it.
to, right, I think that we were just trying to, I don't know, is it right to have a list of who voted or not, or is that something that we don't need to know about? I mean, if they're verified, I don't know, what are your guys' thoughts? Do we have
I don't even think we
Record
went
recount?
through that list after we compiled it. We didn't really use it.
No, but I mean, I don't know if it's a record keeping thing, or does it matter or not? I don't know. I mean, you got to sign your name when you do a regular election. They verify.
Didn't you sign in when, I kind of recall when you get your driver's license checked, didn't you like write your name out and
Yeah.
your address?
That's what Brad was saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I believe we did do that,
Yeah.
So.
which we
I
can
don't-
do too.
I think that's a proper way to do it, because
I think so
there's
too.
no chance of having dupes. I was looking here and we had 644 ballots 2 years ago. Now, that was, I don't know how many of them were mail-in, but we had basically 2 years worth of elections in 1 year. There were 10 people up, there were 16 people running.
Yeah.
And that was a real mess. And we went through, I don't know, like 20 something batches. And then we had to verify, we went through a list and verified every ballot we had that had an address on it as to whether that was a good address. So if we can validate before people put a ballot in, you save that whole thing about doing
Yeah,
validation at the end. It took us 2 nights.
it was just too much. We have to be able to just validate them and give them a ballot. It's way
Right,
quicker and faster.
Right.
I'm just looking out for us because I after that election, I was like, I'm not doing this again.
I know. When you asked me the other night, I was like, oh.
I know, but I
right.
was hoping you'd say yes because you already done this.
Right, I know.
We don't have to
I know.
train you.
But I think that we don't need to do it after this year.
I know. I'm
Well,
with you,
except
Brad.
if you're,
But yeah, when David did it though, he, I guess it was so overwhelming that you guys didn't really validate addresses. That I remember him saying that.
yeah, that got to that point, right? It was just like,
It was bad.
well.
Paul
I mean,
did
with
his
the whole
best.
COVID thing, I mean, this will be, I think, a blending of that. I mean, with the non-mail-in I think, personally, I think it's gonna really reduce the turnout a fair bit.
Oh, yeah, I think
I
so,
think
but
instead of 600, it'll be more like 250, 300.
good.
I mean, I don't know. You
I
had
don't know.
250 votes. I think Robert had 300 one year, right? Didn't you, Robert?
Yeah, something like that.
Right. So, I mean, we can have pretty good numbers, but
I'd have 381 on
For who?
this sheet that I show.
I
Fred,
just say we be prepared because we really don't know. We don't know who's running, who's doing what. I think Mandy was the only one that's mentioned at our last meeting that she was running.
right.
She was the
Oh,
only
who's
person
up
that
in-
we know
oh,
of.
That's right. Is Nicole, I've just looked at it a few minutes.
Nobody else said anything, just Mandy was the one at our last meeting that spoke up and said she was gonna rerun. She announced it and then
Turned out.
Dawn terms out.
yeah.
So that leaves 5 seats.
Oh,
So last year we didn't get very many at all. Not very many applications at all. I was quite surprised.
Well, do you not think that the current people are not going to rerun?
I don't know.
They're not turned out. I mean, who are they? They're
well, I was just gonna,
Nicole.
Oh,
uh,
Paul Webb, Paul
Angela and
Webb.
Paul Webb.
I hope he reruns.
Don's out.
Dawn's out, yeah.
Mandy's in. I can't imagine Nicole would not rerun.
Oh, Nicole, that's right.
Angela and Paul Webb are the other two.
Yeah, I don't
well,
know.
Angela's probably running, right?
I don't know.
She didn't seem that negative. I mean, she is, one of the board officers.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll all run again. And
I know that Paul is definitely retired and
there's been a couple people though, a couple community members that did run a year that have been religiously going to.
Oh, Jacqueline.
Yeah. And then the other gentleman too, he's been going to traffic. And then Eric Law,
Oh, okay.
he tried to run one year, but I noticed he's been going to stuff. So maybe those individuals
Yeah,
will be interested.
I
But
mean, I think Jack Fernandez or something, what's his name?
oh yeah, I did
He's on
see
the,
that.
he's on the Cabrillo board with me. You know, he seems pretty eager.
Cool,
And I think he's on one of the subcommittees.
awesome.
I can read you. the
Lots
list the
of
people-
good people are on that Cabrillo.
I can read you a list of the people who ran 2 years ago who didn't get in. It's Jesse Benson, David Bach rather, Margaret Cook,
Oh yeah, Mark.
Lucky Morrison, he was ousted. I don't know if he'd come back. Leah Chaparro,
Leah, that's another one. Yeah.
and
Yeah,
all the
she's
rest
the
of them
one
were
that-
on the board. So
she
there's about
ran
4 of
last
them or
year.
5 of them that
Right.
were around 2 years ago. But I don't know if they tried to run last year or not.
I think Leah tried, but she missed it was the whole
Oh, that's
controversy
right. She
thing.
had a-
Remember, it was
Right.
she missed
the,
a meeting or something like
meeting.
that. But she
Well,
seems
and-
like she's well stacked too with experience and
But I mean, she didn't go to the candidates forum and she didn't.
I know.
Meeting, so she got bumped out. And then when I was appointed, the next meeting, there were what, 4 or 5 people that were running for that board appointed seat,
Right, Grulich,
right?
you're running, let's see, Luca?
Right. He was an attorney, I
Let's see,
think.
those were the appointment applications. The other people who ran were Compton, Iaquinta, Saunders, Chaparro, Verismo, of course, and I think that was it.
Lots of different people, but then we haven't seen a lot of those people show up to anything, really.
Not since, right? Well, we'll just, so you're gonna be, so Angela's given you sort of how she disseminated the information last year.
Yes, I sent that all to you guys so you can review.
Yeah, I saw you had, you
Okay,
sent a
good.
bunch of stuff. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've got a bunch of documents here if you want me to screen share my other computer. About
up
what
to the
we have
boys
when
if
we
they
get to the
wanna-
nuts and bolts of it. You just let
The
me know.
boys wanna,
Well, we kind of need a list of things that we need to do, and then people are going to be assigned to, let's say, go, well, it'd be later, but okay, go to Kinko's and print the ballots and cut them up and
well, this is what I have, and I think it'll help you, Brad, but this is what I had. We need the notice of election posted everywhere once we finalize everything here. We need the ballots. Where do we get those ballots? Do we create them
I
ourselves
guess
or
we can just make them ourselves. It's gonna be.
we do?
Well, I mean,
Sure.
Kinko's and 100 sheets of paper cut in half or quarters or something like that is, because there's only gonna be a few people running and just gonna have to
Okay.
have their names, so we could, you know, get it set up and you got a template, you just go down there and they'll just print it once and then print 500 of them and
Okay,
cut them right there. So now you got all your ballots.
alrighty,
part of-
and then,
2
We can
years
do that.
ago, a lot of people printed their own because we had it on the internet for them to print.
oh, okay,
So I don't know if we want to offer that this year.
yeah, we'll have to
Unless they
decide.
would bring them and they print them themselves, they could bring them, but we still want to verify their addresses.
Yeah,
'Cause the last year, what we had was a self-verification form on the second page, which I don't think we want to use that this year.
no, and then we need a ballot box with a lock. We used to have one, but I think I gave it back to Scott. I don't know where it's at. But I need I'll get one. I'll pick one up, a ballot box with a lock. We need signage. I sent Paul Grimes signage around.
I don't know what
Earlier-
happened to that signage.
Well, I can print some, I can have some made. And then Brad, you said you also had some sort
I
of
have
sign,
the
right?
the official planning board sort of easel thing with the metal.
Okay,
Then that can be sort of there. Hopefully it's not windy.
We do have-
Um,
we do have a press release that I did see. It was a brief one, just talking about the election and the date. Candidate forum.
I got a press release if you want to look at what it says here.
Do we print that in, does that go in the Beacon or something like that?
Yes,
Okay.
And probably the Portland Ocean Beach Magazine too, the monthly,
definitely.
we get them to do something with that.
Awesome, thank you. And then we need a candidates, we gotta look at the candidates rules and regulations form that goes with the application. I know I sent the one that David Dick created, but that one has got to be totally chopped up because it was COVID related. So we'll have to, I can kind of take a shot at it and then send it to you guys to
I've got the
review.
application from last year here.
Yeah,
It gives you name, occupation, phone number, property owner, resident, local.
so that
educational experience.
we just have to change the date on there, Paul.
Pretty much, and also, yeah, it's.
Can you
it
do
went on to
that?
the
Can you
second
do
page.
that?
Huh?
Can you change the dates on that for us?
Yeah, I can change it. Deadline to submit, we.
The deadline to submit, that was another thing on the last one,
Early.
a week early, a
Right.
week early.
No, because the candidates forum is right after was,
It has to be before the candidates forum or the night of.
I think it was almost concurrent, right?
Oh, it said deadline to submit, the application was 5 PM on Thursday, March 10th. This year it would probably be Thursday, March 9th.
Right,
And 5 PM would be right before the candidates forum starts.
Right,
okay,
right.
perfect.
And then we
You-
know who they are, and then at that point, we can get the.
So what day's the elections on the 17th, you said?
Elections is on the
16th.
16th.
Thursday, okay,
Make yourself available, black out that night.
yeah.
On this forum, I can get this to you, but it says submit your completed application to the election chair at Angela Vetter. Is that you, Margaret? You
That'll be
getting-
me. You could put my email on there.
Okay.
Tina, are you here with us?
Hold on a second. I am.
Okay, good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, just making sure you can hear us. We haven't gone
I'm
over much yet. We're just,
driving and I was leaving the hospital, so I don't have much reception. So
oh, okay.
not for me. I'm not in the hospital.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so basically, and then we just need vote counters. I think 2, Brad. 2 vote counters.
Yeah, that's, well, typically then you go back, they work together. One reads them out, the other one I think records, right?
Okay,
Do the-
okay.
The for and the slash.
So we'll need two. So that's what I was gonna
Paul
put on
was
our
that-
list.
Paul, weren't you involved in the craze or was it you? Oh, Margaret, both of you
Yeah,
guys? In
I
the-
never wanted to count, so I never counted, but
Well, in 21, it was a huge deal because we actually had 4 people, I think, sitting there, and we were doing like double counts, and we did it in batches of 20. And David Dick was on Zoom from wherever he was, and we were sitting there at 3 different tables, and we were verifying what we had.
oh
This is
yeah, that
after
was,
This is after we approved the people based on where they lived and all that hassle. Hopefully this will just mean we just count the ballots. And I don't know if we need to double count them or not, you know.
well, we spent
might work
2
good
or
if
3
some-
hours.
It might work good if someone was reading the ballot and maybe 2 people were hashtagging or hashing the numbers and we'd verify them and see if they're correct. Maybe do them in batches of who knows.
Well, that was the
25 or
original document I sent you of the
Uh-huh.
batches was how they used to do it. But they used to do it how Brad used to say it, because first of all, we spent so many hours, I'm not kidding you, opening up the envelopes.
That's
That
right.
took us such a long time, opening up those ballots
well,
out of the,
that's
so we
not
won't have
happening.
that this year.
Right. Right.
So it'll be just taking the ballots out of the box and going to count them, which shouldn't take very long. So basically the job responsibilities that I would need is 2 vote counters, 2 people at the table checking IDs and handing out the ballots. I'll probably just oversee the ballot box and, you know, be a floater in case, because people do have lots of questions. I remember
I'll do the ballot verification. And
Okay.
receipt like last time. I mean,
Okay, perfect.
I've done it before, so
Whatever you want.
I'll help count.
Do you want to do that? Count? Oh, good. Okay, awesome. Tina
Yes.
and Paul, where would you guys like to be?
Oh,
Yeah.
you didn't hear me?
Wherever you
I said,
want me is
can you hear me?
fine.
Well, I want you guys
No,
to do what you
honestly,
guys, where you guys want to go.
Possibly since I'm not a board member, I maybe should not be doing the counting. I know they let me count last year or 21, but you know. I'm
Okay,
happy to
so
do that if
do you want to, so my counters will be Robert and Tina?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, because this is not your first rodeo too, Tina. You've done all that stuff. So with elections. So so my counters will be Robert and Tina. Awesome. I'll be the floater. And then Paul and Brad, you guys are in charge of the ballot distributions and ID checking.
Okay,
Right.
so Robert will do okay, that's good.
So did we decide on whether the ballots are physically only going to be with us, or were people going to be able to print a PDF and basically fill it out and bring it in, be verified and hand us their ballot?
Whatever you guys think we should do.
Well,
That
that's
would
I'm
save us a
throwing
lot of
that out
printing.
there. Is that-
I don't think it's bad to give people an option. But
Not mail options.
No mail.
No
They'd
mail.
have to physically hand it to us.
Well, here's the thing. I want to this year continue the tradition of putting the applications on the website. I think it's very beneficial for people to take the time ahead of time to get to know who they're voting for. That was something that I noticed quite off the bat in my beginning years, or people, once we had that on the website, people that came in were like already knew who they were going to vote for. So maybe having those ballots available to the
Yeah.
public ahead of time would be easy, because they can
I
come
agree.
with, it'll save us time, because
Yeah, I
they'll
think
come
it
with their
would.
ballots filled out. They just have to verify, boom, turn it in.
I
What do you
agree.
guys think?
I
I
agree.
think that's fine. I think that the one thing we have to worry about is basically somebody just doesn't stuff the box without checking in. And,
Oh, well, that would be
so,
me. That
I
would
don't
be
know,
my
maybe-
job to
maybe
send
when
them to you
Brad and
guys.
I, verify the person, we give them a ballot and we put our, initials on the corner or something. There's something that would verify, or a stamp that would verify this is a valid ballot.
I love
We'd have
that.
to check.
That's a good idea.
That's, you know what? I can get 2 verified stamps, and that way you guys just stamp the ballots. You don't have to keep writing your
No,
names.
we can almost have a clipboard in a way with where we could have them sign, take their ballot, and verify sort of what if they were pulling up in a car or And that way they could pick it up, or we could, it just would give somebody just flexibility. Just a
Just you
thought.
got to keep what you call like a gauntlet going so that people don't walk away and then come back and you don't know if someone has been to the verification table or not. You got to keep them in the area so that you know that.
Well, you and I we can set up a couple of card tables and be potentially sitting.
Mhm.
And that way we're both looking at we got two lines, but I can look, we'll be shoulder to shoulder. And that way we'd be at least seeing people coming through and maybe being able to know that, oh, that person's already been through the line.
I think the stamp idea is awesome too, because when they come to me to drop off that ballot, I should have something that says that's been like approved and ready to go. Like before they put it in, or I put it in, whatever. I love the stamp idea. And it's, when it goes to counting, that stamped ballot is official. When we have to keep all the ballots for record, we will have that.
True.
So maybe then Paul and I don't take ballots that have been filled out, and you have the verified stamp, or?
Yeah, you verify the ballots and
If they-
stamp it. You
if
guys
they
will be
come in-
stamping the ballots and
do.
they'll have to turn it in.
If they come in with a ballot, we verify them and then
And
we
stamp
stamp the
it.
ballot and you say, go put it in that box. If
Correct.
they come in without a ballot, we verify them and give them a ballot and we can stamp that ballot if we.
Yes.
Unless maybe it's a different color ballot or something, we don't have to stamp those. I don't know. Maybe
I
do
would
we
just
care
keep
how
it
many people
consistent.
print it or not?
I would just keep it consistent, and that custom stamp that I'm going to make for you guys will be the stamp that will be official on each ballot that's approved.
Be a big
No.
smiley face.
Yeah, something.
But I just think if you navigate people, kind of like crowd control, just like put them, navigate them through a certain line where they're going through the process. And then the ballot boxes may be controlled at the end of the line.
Well,
So
that'll
people
be
aren't
you
trying to
and
walk around in circles.
that'll be you and Tina for the first hour, because you won't be counting, at least for the first hour. That's how we did it in the
Right.
past. Once it's been a good hour and we see that there's a good significant amount of ballots, then you guys start your counting. But I would hope that you and I can depend on you and Tina to do that crowd control and kind of help get people in and out.
Ideally, if someone had some kind of those stands with ropes in between it, we could have people walk through, with the rope on one side and the tables on the other side. That would.
I
keep them
do
in
have
order.
ropes. I do have those.
That doesn't sound right.
Oh my goodness, I do. But no, these are great suggestions. And again, I think it'll be easier and more efficient that way. Okay, time for the election.
I'm just
What
looking at
time?
21, it said the deadline was 6 PM, which maybe is a little early.
Yeah, that's why Angela had changed it last year.
I don't know, is it 4 to 7 or 5 to 7 or?
We can do whatever time. I just don't think it's really realistic to stay till 8. I think 7's late
No,
enough.
The 7's to be good, and it'll be potentially chilly.
Yeah,
Is 4 too early? I
I
think
don't think so.
it's you get, because it seemed to, as I remember, we'd have an early crowd and then we had a rush, 6-ish.
And if we're gonna, just remember, if we're gonna provide those ballots online ahead of time, people are just gonna want to be in and out. So you're gonna get a crowd probably right off the bat, because they want to get it over with.
We do have,
Push back with people saying, hey, I'm gonna be at work. I work the night shift, or I'm not available.
Well, those were Angela's concerns, Robert.
Yeah,
We're going to be outside, and one thing to consider is that I think it works out perfect that on that day it says the sunset is 6:57. So if we close it at 7, it's still going to be light.
perfect. That's perfect. One thing I was just thinking about, it's a little bit like it was in the past with the drive up stuff, is that you will have one person coming up, 2 ballots, and the person they came with is in the car in the parking lot.
Right.
Do we just say, hey, that person's got to bring their ID, or, you know, or should there be something on the website to say that, you know, proxy ballots are
Have to be
not
present.
accepted, or not? I mean, what is it called?
Harvest.
Like voters have to be present.
Yeah, I mean, you know, oh, one voter, 1 ballot, something like that.
Well, that's the way it always was. When you'd come to vote inside, you had to physically show up yourself. The only
Right,
difference here is we're allowing somebody to print a ballot and bring it along, but they still have to verify themselves.
but if we're
Yeah.
outside and they're doing the drive-through,
Yeah, but I don't think.
Let me
I
ask you
think we're
guys
asking
this.
them to park and walk up.
Let me ask you this. What is the point of having the drive-through though, if they still have to get out and get verified by us?
well, I was thinking, that's kind of what I was thinking regarding the clipboard.
Do we really want to be out there in the cold?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good idea.
It probably won't be too cold.
But you got to understand, it gets really chaotic in that parking lot. I mean, you're going to get bombarded with people getting out of their cars,
Pretty
driving.
chaotic inside the lobby, too.
Same, I know.
Is there anything going on at
Tight.
the church
Actually, I
that
thought it was
day?
a little tight there in the lobby. It felt constraining.
Well,
'Cause
what if we have it in
people-
the big conference room, if that's available, where we normally have our meetings? That way we could space out really good.
Well, and then, you know, if then you could have it would be sequential, verified. Here's your ballot. Here's the thing. You got the little door, the little room over there, where you could go, and then you wouldn't have to worry about losing track of people.
Right.
And the ballots, that's where they counted the ballots last time, was in that little room, right?
Right.
So that would sort of be a natural flow if they came in and verified and signed, and here's your ballot. And the next table would be where they would vote, and then they would run into you with the ballots down at the end.
Right. I would feel more comfortable that
It's
way.
easier to control.
Just because I didn't feel it was safe that time I did it in the parking lot. I didn't like it. We were in the middle of the parking lot with the ballots. Ballots were papers were flying away. We were getting distracted.
So you
It's
were
just
actually
people
in
wanted
the
to
parking lot?
talk.
You weren't on the sidewalk up in near
No, we were like
down
on
at
the
the
very
end of the lot.
last, very
We were gonna be at
last.
the end of the lot where there was fewer cars. We're at the farthest west point of the lot.
Yeah, because we were not allowed to be according to like the librarian, we can't be in any of those lanes blocking anything.
right? Okay.
I would think if we did that, another consideration would be, since US Bank is vacated over there, is maybe have people drive through their parking lot where they have a clean exit out, but it's separated from the library.
Oh, yeah, but that's a tight area over there too, though.
And doesn't the election have to be at a city governed facility?
I don't know.
I think it's in one of the rule books.
Even if
Maybe,
it isn't, I
makes
think it'd be
sense.
confusing to move the location.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think the
But
only
that was a good
question-
suggestion.
I was
I think
just
it'd
talking
be
about
better to be
ABS equalize
inside,
type of
but-
thing.
Inside, I think is the best way to go. The question is, anybody complain or not, are gonna say they want to vote, but because of COVID, they can't. Then what do you do? I mean,
I mean, people, geez, if it was inside, I might wear a mask. I mean, my dad's 95. He's had it twice in 2 months.
Yeah, I have a lot of,
You know, that's gonna be an issue about when.
can we have two options? I don't know. One
No, I mean-
set up
I mean, I
outside,
can,
one inside,
you tell people to wear a
the
mask
area-
or bring a mask.
Yeah.
or a mask.
Yeah, I mean, I was in Home Depot, I had a mask on today, I'm probably the only person, but,
No, you're not, because it's striking back up again.
And we might, it's probably smart to have a backup plan in case it becomes an issue in March where there's maybe different protocols too.
Mhm.
Or,
But we don't have to probably think ahead like that, but you know, we have to be pretty fluid during this
well, we
time.
could just do what we're gonna be doing inside. I mean, I guess not having done the parking lot thing, we're not allowed to
And
have the tables on the grass and people could come up to the sidewalk?
I didn't revisit that. I just know that we got away with it. She wasn't really allowed to have us like stand out there in the parking lot when we did. She kind of was just like, I'm gonna look away at this and you guys just do your thing. Because it is a big liability. Someone can get hit, someone can get hurt. We are in a parking lot
Well,
during
maybe don't
business
have it as a
hours.
Drive up, you know, maybe it is gonna be you park and walk up and do it.
Yeah,
Don't-
it should just be
don't
park and
receive-
walk up.
Well, part of it the last time was it was a drive-up situation for most people. A
Right,
lot of people showed up, they had their ballots, they printed out. they-
Yeah,
They put their address on for verification purposes. We just took their ballot. So that's not the case this time,
right.
unless we want to stand there like you're taking a fast food order, which I don't think we should do. I
No,
think they just sort of park and come inside and vote. And
and make those, like you said, Brad, make that really clear. Because there's been so many changes every year. Make that really clear on our website, because that's where people go for election details. Or, you know, on our social media posts, make that clear, and we can tell the board, candidates running in our verbiage, hey, make it clear to your people or whoever, your friends and family, wear a mask, and it's going to be in person.
well, the other possibility is we could put on the website or something, please contact us if you have a concern about going inside to vote.
Good point.
And we could,
And then somebody
Meet
can
them
go out there
outside
and
or whatever.
individually.
I love that. Let me just write my little notes.
I mean, we do have that, there is that area, well, the library maybe won't be so happy about it, but there is that sort of area above the stairs, right at the doors, that's, where they post stuff that's has a little bit of room. I mean, it might not be inside, but it's somewhat protected, and it's, got to go up the stairs, and we could line up there, and then the ballot box could be at the end and that person could go in. I guess I'm a little bit concerned about the potential that, we can have in-person, is it going to affect our Zoom meetings because we've chosen to be indoors and have this election indoors? Is that, it's like all of a sudden, are we ready to start meeting inside again, or that would be something.
Well, Nicole brought that point up last meeting, yeah.
Right, then they might, then that whole thing about the emergency, as soon as that's the Brown Act and all that stuff, is that we might not get that amendment to the Brown Act to allow us to do the Zoom, and we might have to go back to in-person. So
Yeah, good points. Yeah, I don't know. I think outside, like you said, still gives us ample room between the voting room, and it's just up to where you guys want to be. I'm pretty sure that big, large conference room is available, because she asked me if I needed it.
How many doorways are there when you walk down the sideway to get into that room?
There's 2.
I wonder if we could open both those doorways and have some people enter on one side, go up past 4 tables and go out the other side, and they're done.
We can
So they could
open
be
those
waiting
doors.
outside in line.
We can open those
That would
doors.
minimize the amount of time they're involved with being inside.
Yeah,
Possibility.
Brad, where you
don't
were talking
know.
about, Brad, that's where the actual doors open.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they're gonna want to go, now they got to walk around the building kind of a thing. Some people don't like to be inconvenienced.
Well, the other thing is, Brad, if you have them go out to the front, most people are going to park in the back, and they're going to have to walk all the way around the building to go out to the front stairs to stand in line.
Well, I'm looking at from above. That area outside the entrance, the front doors to the library, well, from the parking lot, there is a large concrete area there that's kind of protected that would keep us outside. And we could set up our table. Looks like, you could have all the tables there. And we could still have use of the room for maybe counting, but people wouldn't have to go through the doors. They could just come up the steps. I don't know if that is unreasonable or not, but it looks as though there's enough room for us to put up a few tables and do what we need to do there. And it's actually looks, well, anyway, I mean, I can go check it out. I mean, this isn't going to be the only meeting we're going to have, right?
No, I just wanted to get started so that way we have ample time to notify the community of the next meeting. So that way that could be their first meeting if they haven't attended a meeting yet. Know what I mean?
Right. Well,
I
they did
kind
kind
of-
of candidates forum counts too.
Yeah, definitely.
Is the library open at that time?
Yes, it is.
Okay, because I think what Brad's saying is maybe make like a U there. You go in one side and turn around and come out the other side. And it'll all
Yeah.
be outside the building, which I think would be great, but then are they going to complain that that limits or messes up the access of people going into the library?
Well,
lot of people
we
going
had
to
it
the
in the
back.
lobby, boy, it was really messing up the.
Yeah, that's true.
It was.
That's true. This will probably be better for their entrance.
I think the back door gets more activity than their front door.
That's true too.
A lot.
I'd vote for that because it's outside, it's close to the building. If it rains, we might, can you move the tables underneath or is a door?
We
I
could,
can't
I
really
mean, at
tell.
that point, if it did, I think that we would just have to move inside. I don't know if we have any choice.
So
now.
maybe we take those two doors open as a backup and people come in one side and they come out the other side. And that would all be in the same area, either one. I think that's a good solution.
Cool. That
Which,
works.
you're saying go out the parking lot side and then exit out onto the Voltaire side?
Now I'm saying just have it all in the parking lot side. There's like it looks like there's two walkways there and there's like a tree in the middle. And they could walk in from the parking lot and then go around, see the tables and then come back out over the sidewalk or vice versa. There appears to be room to do that. And the tables would be, in front of the building. I don't know, you could have them on two different sides if you want, or something to keep people on some kind of gauntlet. But if we're going to put stamps on it, that means we couldn't get anybody giving us a bogus ballot that they printed out at home. I see that totally workable. And worst case would be if it did rain, you could use the doors and open the doors up and have people walk in to do that. It's not
Yeah, I don't
likely
know.
it's going to rain.
Have you guys ever seen those side doors open to the conference room?
I have. I opened them up for this other meeting I was in because it was too hot.
I'm
Oh,
looking at
really?
them now and they look like they're double doors.
They're
and there's
double
not too
doors.
There's not too much room in between them, unfortunately. So if you came in, you might have to, people would have to come in and maybe make like a circle before they came back out again or something.
It's just it's definitely double doors.
Is there a step?
No,
No, they're level.
Your level? Okay.
they face right out to the parking lot. Yeah, it's up to us I think we can decide as we get closer on that. That'll be a
That might even be.
backstage
sort of a
decision.
Yeah, we might make that.
We can do it
decision.
whatever we want with that, but I like your idea, Brad, definitely, because it just keeps a healthy environment for everybody that is concerned and can just pop in and out.
Right.
Get
Right,
some-
people aren't concerned about, well, how come you're meeting inside for ballots, but you have your meetings over Zoom?
Right,
That's right.
that was my concern about actually going indoors. Instead of being outside, we don't have that question raised.
Yeah, it's good.
So I think that for all we know that, we're gonna be discussing that circumstance whether or not Zoom is going to continue soon.
I hope so.
It's
Yeah,
been nice with Zoom because we got rid of the.
I love Zoom.
The rebel browsers don't show up on Zoom like they
And
do.
that's another thing. So I'm gonna propose
Yeah,
that the
good point.
candidates forum stays Zoom, right?
yeah, I think so.
Okay. Everyone agree with that?
Yeah,
So do
And
all the
then-
people on the election committee have to attend the candidates forum?
It'd be nice, but you're not required to, I don't think, but it'd be nice.
Okay,
Candidates forum, Zoom, and I'm gonna make it for what, 6 o'clock?
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
6:30?
I think that's the time that,
Okay,
I'm basing it off the same time as Zoom meeting, I mean, PCPB board meetings.
That sounds good.
But if you think 6:30, it doesn't matter to me.
no, 6 is fine.
6, okay.
Did Angela include her, I don't know, the, how they ran, because I don't remember how the candidates forum gets run.
Well, last year, we didn't even have one.
Right. It was on Zoom. And they didn't have a.
I mean, it just. in terms
There
of
wasn't one, but
of an
in previous
agenda.
years, we come in and it's real basic. We allow them each for like less than a minute, give a brief bio
Right.
about themselves, why they're running, and then we open it up to any board members that are there that want to ask their questions. And then we open it up to the community. Community can ask their questions, and then we, just end it with last final minute words.
So it's about an hour.
About an hour, yeah. Doesn't really go longer than that. I
Okay.
attended the last few. It's pretty basic,
Okay,
but it is nice if PCPB board members can go, because that's, your potential teammates. So it is good to ask those questions that we feel would get some answers out of them, kind of help them out,
right.
because not everybody's a public speaker, so just kind of helping them get their experience out there. So, okay, so we're doing good, guys. Woohoo. So, okay, so we've got our positions down, we've got election date down. Now the time, we've got to pick that time, the time that we want for the election.
4:30 to 7. Or 7:30.
Or 4 to 7.
I think we ought to stop it at 7, maybe go 4 to 7 at the most.
Definitely, I'd love to
longer
see
we're
it
there,
stop
the
at 7,
The more time we got to be there, and that's,
because remember, we got to count.
I think 4 to 7 sounds good.
4 to 7. I don't think any earlier. We did do it one year, 3 to 8, and nobody really got there until, from what I can remember, around the 4 o'clock mark.
Right.
The early birds do definitely get there on time at 4, but I think 4 to 7 is plenty of time.
it was 3 to 6 in 2021. Just for.
Yeah, right. So it's just
That was for the
effectively a 3-hour
drive-through.
window.
Yeah,
So 4 to 7, everyone's good with that?
Yeah, I think that's good, because I think 6 is too early.
Okay. Paul, you're gonna update the application for us, right? Now, what happens now? Do you guys know? Okay, so I'm gonna put together a list for us that I'll circulate it in our committee. So we just know what we gotta do that day. Really quickly.
We need to
Do I need to
make-
go to the board with our suggestions now?
For,
For like getting the application posted to the website and
I would
our
think
game
so.
plan?
At least to Fred.
I'll definitely send this to Fred too, I'll copy
you can ask
Fred
him
on,
for
I think
direction.
you can let Fred know.
because I'm assuming we'd have to just run this all final through the board, right? Just so they know the game plan, and if they have questions last minute, I
Right,
think we're good.
but we'll probably have, well, and if they, I mean, we could have maybe even a couple more of these ad hoc meetings, election meetings.
Yeah, definitely,
If needed.
definitely. Yeah, I think we've got the basics down though. At least I think Paul can get the application up so people can start to look at that and the date. The dates, I mean, you can't get away from the date. The date has to be that third Thursday in March. And then I will make sure to lock everything final with Christine at the library.
Oh,
So I
if
told
we
him-
have access, it would be nice to be if we. Hold on a second. What time's the library close? The library closed on that?
I believe it closes at 8.
Okay, oh, well, then that would be all right. Because sometimes we used to have a key and drop the key after locking up the library.
We'll probably need
in
it.
a mailbox. Well, we might. Also, do we have a ability to use those long tables?
Yes,
And also potentially the chairs that are in there?
yes.
For us, and for putting, having people to, because there might be, as I remember, we had a ballot table.
We did. We had 2.
Right, and the people would take their ballot after receiving it and go over and fill it out and then take it over to be, I guess at this point stamped. Would be then go, I guess we could, Paul and I could direct people after verifying them, and I guess we hand in the ballot and then point and say, okay, go over here and vote, and then, drop your ballot down at the end.
I think what's going to help you though is having that ballot on the website for sure.
Yeah, agreed. And then we can just
Okay.
tell them to circumvent the, go ahead.
I was gonna ask if I could screen share. I want to show a couple things here.
Go for it.
If
Please.
you don't mind, if I can
Please
do it.
do.
Let's see, host disabled participants. Can you enable it?
Yep.
There we go. Okay. Well, first of all, here's a picture of where we're talking.
Yeah,
Southwest,
right.
but-
Exactly.
So I think where my hand is, you go around maybe one way or the other, we go around. And the alternative is to go in these 2 doors that are
Right.
over here.
If it's
Okay,
raining.
so that's it for that part. The application I'll modify is this guy here. I'll basically just have to change the dates. I'll send it over to Margaret with her email address and make sure that she's got that.
Perfect.
I don't know if we need these things or not, these guys, but I also have, this was our ballot for 2 years ago. We can do it something. like this.
Oh, yes, we need that. Let's use that.
Yeah.
Let's make that. Can you make that larger?
Let
Just like by touch.
me
Yeah.
see. Is that
What-
bigger?
What do you guys think? I like that.
Well,
But you
it's
see, you
gonna
gotta
be
get
a
rid of
lot,
the
it's gonna be
by
a
mail
lot
thing here.
smaller,
Yeah, you're right, Brad.
because a lot less people, and like what Paul just selected, that whole by mail.
Yeah.
Probably just need a half sheet instead of full sheets.
I agree.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to change some of this verbiage here because of
Yeah.
the ballot drop box and sealed
Right.
envelope and
Right.
voter eligibility form. So I think that whole lower half may,
Go away.
we may need to,
And I think we'll just say something like, if you print this ballot at home, you need to come to the library from 4 to 7 on a certain day. You will have to verify individually your information. You will have your ballot verified or your ballot stamped before you can leave it in the ballot box. Something like
Yeah,
that.
I
I
would
could-
like that on the
Yeah.
ballot. I would like a disclaimer on the ballot that it has to be verified in person.
right?
Mhm.
Another thing is that we have to, we had a little bit of an issue in the years past about what constitutes adequate verification.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was California ID or that your cell phone doesn't count, but your SDG&E or what was the other service? Maybe a water bill
Water bill,
thing, huh?
the water bill and SDG&E.
Oh my
Right.
God, you know what another thing was that we had a problem with when Mick Moore ran
Yeah,
was the boating community. They were
Oh,
coming
boating.
in, yeah, they were coming in with like boating dock slips. That was their way of, and we had never talked about that before.
Wow.
They were coming in with boating slips as
I
their,
didn't know they're living in the boat,
Because
or they
that's
just
what
have.
it is.
yeah, yeah. So it was
Oh.
crazy.
So this
We weren't
sheet here I
prepared
have
for
up on
that.
the screen was some I put together last time, which has all the streets that are good.
Yeah,
About-
that was an amazing list, I
One
thought.
on the left
There's
are the ones
streets
that,
on there. I know a lot of streets in Paloma, but there's some there. I just like, where is that?
so the ones on the left line are, they don't count. The
Right.
green ones all count, and the partial ones are on the right side. Like if you have a Dare Street, you've got to be before 45.99, or it doesn't count.
Oh,
So I think that's a pretty good thing that we can use to verify people quickly.
Definitely. And Tina, you had hopped off, but I had mentioned that you and Robert for the first hour will definitely be helping Brad and Paul facilitate the lines if it does
Okay.
get, the first hour out of control, and
Mhm.
kind of just crowd control. And if people are, just ready to go, split them between the lines and somehow help in that capacity.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool.
Now, there were two other things that we put out. One of them's on the screen now, which was this is what we sent out to the publications in advance. Like the papers and things. And we probably should have something like this, as well as something on the website that basically is a press release for, I guess, the general public. I know that we had that in the past.
Definitely. We just need to slap our logo on that and then it'll be
Yeah.
good to go.
I can do that. And
Thank you.
I can
And
send
then-
it over to you. If you have Word, you can adjust it if you want.
No, it's perfect. This is great.
Well, I
Simple
mean,
to the
yeah,
point.
A lot of stuff needs to be changed here. The dates, the walkthrough or walk up, that needs to be changed in the middle.
Mhm.
We can change that.
And we gotta change, Angela's running, so we can't take, we have to
Right,
take her.
yeah, it would be, it would have to be to Margaret, then where Angela is right there.
Mhm.
But once you modify this stuff, if you don't mind sending it to our committee
Sure will.
via email, we can kind of look at it and make suggestions, revisions via email.
So these are the sheet counts we used last time. when we
Yeah,
had
that's a
16
great, I
people
was
running.
just thinking about that. That's really helpful.
So
Obviously,
this is for you and Tina and Robert.
Okay,
You'll have to figure out how to use these, and I'm sure Paul would
Oh.
be.
What we had was, there were two of them. The first one was, the people were counting, like Jesse Benson here at batch number so-and-so. We had a number of these sheets. So we had two people counting, you were hashing every time they mentioned that person's name. And then we double verified that they matched between one and the other, between the two people. If you're only gonna have one person counting and one verifying, I don't know if you double count them at a different time or not. Then we went on to a batch total end where we took the batches after that and we installed them here and we ended up with totals. And this was on Excel, so it calculated the totals.
sounds good.
One important thing that I've learned over the years, there is that one person that always seems to challenge elections for whatever reason. We've had them quite a bit in the past. So as counters, I just ask that you keep everything real clean, and as you count them, maybe, rubber band your batches, because we do have to keep the ballots on file for Fred, he's the chair, for quite some time. I think it's like a year or something. I don't know what it is, Brad, but I know we have to keep them on file for a little bit. So as you count, it's another thing that we have to keep all the ballots intact.
Sounds good. We can batch them in 25s or whatever you want.
So yeah, I don't know what you suggest, Paul, but yeah, definitely there's going to be some kind of method to the madness of the counting.
Let me ask a question. I assume that no one on the current board that's not up for election is going to retire, which would put a 6th or 7th person up on the ballot this year.
so retire before their term is up?
Well, I mean, if somebody just left early, because that has happened in the past.
It has, and typically though, it happens either before or after the election itself. At least that's been my experience, because a lot of times we have to run those special elections, right? And I think that the time before, we just functioned with less than 15 because the election was so close. It's like, well, let's not do a special election. Let's just wait to the regular election like when, a couple of years ago, when the chair and the vice chair resigned, it was still a month or two out before we had an election.
Well, it
Actually,
might be nice if maybe we or Fred could send a message out to the 10 other people and say, if you are interested in thinking about exiting the board, it might be the proper time to do it now so we can have a clean election and not have to come up with something later. You know,
well, we
good
can talk
idea.
about that at the next meeting, right? We can
Yeah,
ask everybody who, we could just say, hey, is anybody planning on resigning or who's running? Or have you made a decision?
yeah, we need to ask Fred to ask. Good point. Okay, so anything else we got? I think we're on track here.
I need to go through all your emails and look at all the things that you sent, all those PDFs.
I know. It's just
Um,
basically what Paul is screen sharing here. My only thing that I need that was rather long was this thing that David Dick put together for his, and it basically just talks about just the whole process of voter eligibility, candidate applications, candidates form, election results, how everything works in the process. He basically, I guess he
How much
sent
of
this
it, how
out,
much of it can you reuse? I mean, is it all,
probably a paragraph or two. This is all, a lot of it's COVID related.
right, it was all that crazy election with the envelope?
Yeah, all modifications. So I don't think it pertains to us
Sorry.
really. I think this guy here that we just went over will do justice. This guy, Paul.
Oh, yeah, the one that Paul-
The press release should be good. And then we have our candidate requirements on the website. So they know that they have to be, and it's on the application too. 18 and up, have to attend one meeting. All that's updated on the website.
trying to locate that longer document. And
Well, that's another thing too. The
looking.
committee also reviews the applications as they come in. So as I get applications, we'll hold a Zoom. I'll try to get as like in a batch and we just review them before they go to the board as a committee to make sure that they're hit all the qualifications. Does that make sense? As the applications come in?
So it seems like a lot of the machinations that we're going to be going through, the physical stuff. How about the advertising? I mean, is that just something that's right up your alley, Margaret? In terms of
Yeah,
getting the
yeah.
police and
I'll
the
definitely
Facebook
once I get the okay that everything's good and we're good to promote the election, then I can go to like next door and post I'd like to have that press release that you're going to modify approved by our committee. And I can utilize that to start letting the community know, hey, and on that press release, I think I'd like to just see I'd like to notate on there when the election is, that we're kind of semi back to normal, but with safety precautions still in place by having the drop off be outside the library. And then candidate eligibility on that same press release. This is what it takes to run if you want to run, right? Just on one sheet of paper, or is it too much?
I'm going to show you this. We had an election committee meeting 2 years ago. If you don't mind looking at this, I don't know if there's anything we need here from this.
Oh, good. Yeah, the vetting process, I have that, yeah.
I'll send this over to you, Margaret. I don't.
Okay,
think we have it
perfect. Yeah, thank
otherwise.
you. This is a
Yeah.
great checklist because,
Seems like it's gonna be mostly the top stuff.
yeah, definitely.
I like it. It's good.
So what I'm gonna do after this
Hey,
meeting is,
Margaret?
yeah,
Really quick, one
definitely.
of the things that came up last year was the validity of people showing up the day of and saying that they wanted to be a write-in. We're gonna not allow that, right?
Oh, I don't know. How do we treat that? Because that did come up another previous year, Tina, as
Mhm.
well. We did have a few write-ins. We have to
Um,
be able to allow them to write in, right? No? How does that work, Brad? I don't know.
I don't either. I think we need to, I think you go ahead and let them do it in my mind. If they're verified and they live in the peninsula, I think that, I mean, where they're gonna vote for themselves and maybe get their family to vote, they're gonna like 5 votes and.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree with you and not really
I mean, we
ruffle any
could be really
feathers.
fussy about it. You didn't attend the candidates forum. Have you ever attended a forum in BO? But it's sort of like.
Not
you
worth it.
Under ill will that way and just like, okay,
Yeah,
fine.
just let it go.
You just have to make
I don't know.
sure
And at the
you
same
and Robert have to make sure to tally that write-in though, as a write-in on your form.
And
Because
at the same,
because when we post the results to the community, if there's a write-in, we have to be able to show that there was a write-in.
yeah, Mickey Mouse
The
wants.
election, Article 5 of the election of the board, it states that the planning board will allow write-in candidates. If it's later determined the write-in candidate is ineligible, any vote casted for an eligible candidate will be invalid and absent.
Well, yeah,
So,
So, yeah, so if they're, just verify, well,
And I have one more question. Also, the other thing that came up last year was, is the last meeting, allowed to count as their meeting to be in presence?
which.
Where they, when they talk about themselves, I can't think of the name.
Candidates
the
forum.
candidates forum.
Janet
Candidates
Forum.
forum. Yes, thank you. So is that considered a meeting
Yeah,
where it's their one meeting that they can show up and that's considered?
that specifically,
Yes.
that does count.
Okay.
Though when we change the bylaws, it might not be that way anymore.
right?
Yes, they're taking away the requirement that you attend a meeting.
Sorry, I'm driving, but I'm kind of like, I know that was an issue last
No,
time.
thank you for bringing this up.
Well,
We've gotta make
that's
sure.
how I got back on the board, because that Miss
We wanted you back on it.
that Shaproff,
Thank God.
thank you. The Leah, they didn't
Yeah.
attend a candidates forum or a meeting. And so she, even though she was made the board, it was like determined that she didn't meet that requirement and was not seated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's my question. So I just want to make sure we're clear for this next coming.
I appreciate that.
That may not be
so-
the case though after the new bylaws and everything, because that was in a complaint. Not that this is kind of a red herring, but but the city planning department didn't like that attendance requirement. It's in our bylaws, so that
Oh,
may be something
interesting.
that may go.
But for this one, we're going to allow them to at least be attendance at the,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, we still have our bylaws are still in effect.
Okay.
Anything else, Robert? Thoughts?
I don't think
Good.
so.
Everything sounds good?
Yeah, I know personally, I just need to digest all this stuff to see what we may have missed, but it would be I would feel more comfortable if for sure we're going to be having some meetings here. And I guess
Yes.
you can just send emails to each other.
Yes.
Now, it's not going to be a Brown Act thing where we're having some kind of serial meeting or not noticed. Do I just send it straight to you, Margaret, and not include anybody else? So then it's just a conversation.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
And then you could maybe
Just
I
to
don't
see
know.
it actually on.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna put it as like it's an agenda item for us, like an agenda worksheet that I can share.
Okay,
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because after this meeting, as I said, I have to create some sort of list like Paul just showed us there. I'm gonna
Right.
look at his list, put something together that we could work off as a check off list and keep us, going to the finish line with knowing exactly that we've touched on everything, because yeah, every year's change, and I'm sure there's gonna be more changes
We don't
coming
wanna
our way.
do-
We don't know. So, but I feel confident in our conversation today that we've got the time down, the location, candidates forum locked in, and now it's just putting together everything else and getting candidates to submit their stuff, their applications.
right.
But yeah, I at our next meeting will I'd like to have one more meeting with you guys before we go to the board with our final details.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
You know what I'm saying? After this, we can you guys go back, read after you get my next email. If there's anything else on the list you see missing or you have questions, send it to me, and then I'll compile a list of all of our questions for our next meeting before our actual board meeting.
Okay,
Yeah. And I think that'll keep us focused.
that'll be good.
Yeah, definitely. So homework,
Okay,
questions. Paul, you're going to help us revise some of that stuff and you're going to send it out to the group. That I think is
Yeah,
okay.
I will.
The
I'm-
templates.
I'm trying to put it in a folder right now and then I'll
And
send it.
then I
I'll
will
send it
get with Fred about asking the board who's staying, who's going, so we know that we've got 5 seats officially. And then
I'll break out the sign that we've got
please,
and take a
Thank
picture of
you.
it and I'll send it to you guys.
okay,
Just so you can see that, this is sort of like makes us look a little bit more official that.
yes.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get
It's like
those
Paul
other
has a sign in
signs.
his office there already.
I'll get the little signs made for the grass and what have you. But we're looking good. Any other questions or comments?
When do we put
Oh.
them on the website?
I don't know. When can we put it on the website? I should ask Fred,
I suppose we could put the date, say it's upcoming, and
Yes,
look for more information at this
save
point.
the date, put it on there.
Yeah, March 16th.
You could even put the candidates forum too. Cause
Yeah, that would be the 9th. Okay,
6 o'clock for both of those. No,
okay.
6 o'clock for the candidates forum, 4 to 7
4 to
for
7 the
elections.
election.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you could
Okay.
put in large letters in person.
Margaret, when's the last date that they can submit?
Paul, what was that last date of application submission?
I think it was the same day as a candidate forum, but it was at 5 o'clock
5 o'clock
Hour
on the
before that.
9th.
on the
Mhm.
candidate, on the 9th.
On the 9th. Okay, thank you.
I remember one year Fred was so stressed out because he kept getting last minute applications at 5 o'clock. I
That
was
was
on his
2 years
committee and he's
ago.
like, I'm gonna go crazy.
That was like 2 years ago.
It was so nuts. I mean,
Was a crazy one there when.
and
Fred-
he was so, Fred is he's so nice. And he was just like, I gotta keep him coming. I can't.
He's like, how am I gonna put this on the website? There's a new candidate.
Oh my gosh, that was fun to be on that committee. But yeah, so we've got this team. We are good to go. I'm gonna adjourn this meeting and we'll talking about right before the next board meeting.
Sounds good.
I'll send a little email out.
Sounds good.
Thank you guys. I couldn't do this without you guys, and your time and service is very valuable to our community.
Vice versa. Thanks so much.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for taking charge.
Meeting
Margaret.
adjourned.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Stop the recording, huh?
Yes.